lovely. Oh, that sounded good. Thank you, and hello, lovely people. How wonderful to see so many people here that have that I've worked with in the past, that have inspired me, that I've collaborated with over many, many years, and many others that I would like to. How nice to see artists and campaigners and environmentalists, sort of wonderful people. Lovely to see you. I wish we were down the pub. So the role of the artist transitioning to a better future. If you know me or have even just met me for 3 minutes, you'll know that I am not an academic. I am talking very much through reflecting on my experiences and practice, and the belief that nurturing the creativity that is at the very core of each and every one of us is absolutely vital to envisage, inspire, and provoke action for a better future. So I'll be interspersing the talk with images. So if you're listening in whilst you're cooking your tea, there will be a few pauses whilst I share my screen. It is a huge subject and I will just be tickling the toes of it really, but I hope that some of it resonates with you, brings a little spark of joy or inspiration or positivity this evening, because my goodness, we need it, don't we? Just for a moment, I'm just going to put my screen onto share. Just one moment. Okay. So I'm going to share a few words, some words that I wrote a couple of years ago when I was artist in residence at Jimmy's. This is some of the work that I was doing there. If you don't know Jimmy's, it's a shelter and a support for people experiencing homelessness, people in crisis and transition. And so now these words, I think, feel very relevant for all of us in this period at the moment. I wrote, "Art is not about passing time at Jimmy's. It is about remembering who we are, celebrating our beings, creating beauty together, being seen and heard, and stimulating our creative selves to find new ways to look to our futures. It's about having fun, learning about each other, sharing experiences, valuing ourselves, and when life feels really hard, to keep being wonderful." So I describe myself as an artist for social and environmental justice. And what I'm going to do is give a very quick overview of like pre-pandemic work that I was doing, which is mainly just a few photographs, and then chat a bit about how my work and role as a participatory artist during lockdown, which is a bit of an oxymoron really, has adapted and developed as we think about how we move into the future and my role in that. First though, I'm going to do a quick flashback. Oh, I've just lost my arrow, there we are. A quick flashback to explain why I work, how I work. In 1995, after working as a designer and illustrator in Cambridge for a few years, I spent a year in Johannesburg. Nelson Mandela had just become president and it was an exciting time. I was painting shop fronts and murals. You can see this is pre-digital, can't you? And in the first couple of days of being there, I met Johannes. Here he is on the left. He was living on the street and he became my friend. I mean, I grew to love him very much. And he and his friends would come and join me to paint and to chat during the day. And in the evening, I'd make rice and we'd just go and sit in the market and we would make clay beads together. And we set up a stall to sell them. They got lots of abuse, I got lots of abuse. So it wasn't unusual that when we were sitting on a curb one evening, a man came to shout more abuse at them. And it was along the lines of them being nothing, their lives being worthless. And one of the boys waited until there was a break. He looked the man in the eye and he said, "I am not worthless. I made this today." And he opened up his hand to reveal one of the beads. And I had no idea that that is what we were doing. I thought we were just having fun and we were looking out for each other. And these boys, these children taught me the transformative power of creativity. it was an epiphany and it changed everything for me. These boys are my greatest teachers. So since then, look, this is me pre-pandemic. I have to sometimes look at these to remember that how to get dressed if I don't want to wear one of my children's hoodies these days. Out and about in the community. So as Sue was saying, I work with people to explore, share and celebrate ourselves, our environment and our society through creativity, culture, stories, heritage and nature. This is at Kettle's Yard. I'm doing a history of Arbury Carnival. I work in schools. This was Circular Cambridge, community groups, housing estates, museums. This is at Wisbeach Museum, cultural venues, bearing witness and provoking conversation, action and change. It's all very serious. At Kettle's Yard, young people talking about Extinction Rebellion and climate change. This is rummaging through archives for a project at the Junction, exploring the history of the Junction. And this was the amnesty event that Sue was talking about. These hopefully will be on display soon. This is the, the Cambridge Cow Project, and this is our beautiful, proud cow. Amnesty. And I ran the making sessions for the Pride Parade as well, and the punts, which was fantastic. Extinction Rebellion first took to the streets in April 2019, demanding that the truth be told about the climate crisis. The use of arts to connect people to that message and to their emotions has been phenomenal. And during that first rebellion, I was on the roadblock at Hyde Park with Extinction Rebellion Cambridge. I absolutely love this image. A passerby had seen these words and we'd painted the banner in the street to bear witness. It was unimaginable at the time to think that less than a year later, there would be empty streets across the globe in lockdown and all of us taking comfort from thriving birdsong. What a reminder that we can change. This workshop, sorry, they keep sort of clicking on their own. This workshop with Cambridge Conservation Initiative at the Museum of Zoology was the last live and 3D workshop that I ran before the first lockdown. And it's quite typical of how I run collaborative workshops. It was called The World Tomorrow, and children and their families were invited to imagine how a future Cambridge with more nature could look. The process of introducing an issue whilst talking as we create, sorry, I just got to pick up my paper. It's quite typical of how I work. We think and explore the issue and then share those images through exhibitions and social media to continue to provoke discussions and creativity. It was wonderful to recently read, I don't know if you can see this in the little box, I don't know if you can see me, From What Is to What If book. So yeah, all hail Rob Hopkins, who, if you're part of Transitions, you will know him as the co-founder. And Rob talks about the power of unleashing our imaginations to create the future that we want. He also talks about Cambridge Curiosity and Imagination in the book too, and I'll chat a little bit about my work as one of their artists with them shortly. He is going to be talking, I think it's on the 16th of March. He's one of the speakers and I'm really looking forward to hearing him speak as well. Okay, now I'm going to say a little bit of a hippie thing, but I thought I'm in the right, it's fine. Okay, I was thinking about connections and how creativity just works on its own once we, and we make connections once we start to be creative together. And I woke up with a jolt at 3 a.m. last week, and I was thinking about how many of these connections are made through nurturing the creativity that's at the core of us, the root of us. And I saw these links like mycelia, I don't know if I'm saying that word right, the signals that are sent through the roots of trees to communicate to each other. And I thought, this is what we as artists are doing. We are stimulating these deep-rooted connections to ourselves, to each other, and to our heritage, our planet, and our future. This creativity resonates between us, and it finds these connections. So yes, trees, nature, the ore on our doorsteps, and lockdown. This is the Tree of Plenty. It's at the bottom of Kingston Street off Mill Road, where, as Sue mentioned, I'm working as an artist in residence for Ironworks, which are the homes that are being built where, you know, the old council depot used to be. And I wanted us to create something joyful, working collaboratively, but separately, so working outdoors on a joint project separately. And I wanted to explore what people had reconnected to and what had resonated with them during lockdown and what they would like to hold on to. So I asked, I asked people to make garlands of thanks, to share these thoughts and to decorate the tree. And I developed these themes, excuse Zelda, sorry. I developed these themes to create an exhibition that I've called Forge. So it's shush. Exploring how reconnecting to history, just a minute, I can read, if I get that up on screen, I lost myself a little bit there. So this is a bit about Forge, the exhibition. During the pandemic, we have connected to history, relearned traditional skills and crafts, forged deeper empathy, nurtured our communities, and relished time in nature. And Forge starts to tell some of those stories, to provoke conversation, inspire action, and give us hope for a kinder future. So I installed the exhibition at the Museum of Cambridge, and it's online as well. I think that the link to it, I think it will go into the chat. I installed it in December, and then of course there was another lockdown and the museum shut. Part of the exhibition is a cabinet of inspiration. Florence Ada Keynes is one of the people in it, but actually you can see one of my favourite quotes here, and it's so relevant. It's a quote by Octavia Hill, who was born in Wisbech and was a social reformer. She was a pioneer, set up green spaces, and was founder of the National Trust. We all need space, she says. Unless we have it, we cannot reach that sense of quiet in which whispers of better things come to us. And how perfect is that for us, you know, right now as we try to rethink our futures. Anyway, Florence Ada Keynes, she's here. She was one of the founders of the Museum of Cambridge when it first opened in 1936. She was a campaigner, a social reformer. She was our first female city councillor here in Cambridge, and she was also our mayor. So she not only, this is in the corner here, that's a photograph of the opening day of the Museum of Cambridge. So she not only shaped the course of history in our city, but she also recognised the importance of ordinary people's stories being told. The role that plays in connecting to the place in which we live, at giving us a stronger sense of identity, stronger connections, and a greater sense of agency, which of course then increases democracy and equality. If you feel, you know, if you love where you are, you feel a part of it. She knew that then, And when we live in a city which still has the greatest social divide, that is a really important role that our museums need to play, to connect through creativity and compassion, to use shared heritage, community-led curation and storytelling to truly represent and reflect the identity and values of our communities, while stimulating imagination and creative thinking. It's an essential role. I love this photograph. Look, here we are in the Museum of Cambridge a few years ago, celebrating our wonderful Cambridge women, with Emma Smith, artist, and Alice Rowe, who is founder of the Her Story project, and wonderful Anthony Carpin, who is our Sherlock of Cambridge. So anyway, getting back to the founder, Florence Ada Keynes, and also thinking about connections. In 1883, Florence gave birth to John Maynard Keynes, who is regarded as Britain's most influential economist. So this is a nice connection, isn't it? And this is a beautifully pertinent quote of his, I think. The difficulty lies not in the new ideas, but in escaping the old ones, which ramify for those of us brought up, as much as most of us have been, into every corner of our minds. And how true of that. And that is the role of artists too, to keep seeing and showing things differently, to experience things differently, and to challenge our senses and perceptions. So yes, like I said, it's another beautiful circle of connections, along with, the part of the project at Forge as well. I'm talking about circular living and donut economics. As part of Forge and Transitions, myself and other artists are working with Cambridge Donut to creatively explore what we value and how we could thrive in Cambridge whilst protecting our natural environment. And lots of these links are also on the Forge website if you want to click through to those as well. The Gupta Review, The Economics of Biodiversity, commissioned by the Treasury, was released, I think, last week. If I'm making it sound like I might have read it all, I haven't. I've read the 10-page summary. And it also calls for changes in how we think, look, and measure economic success. The report, which is led by this professor from University of Cambridge, says biodiversity enables nature to be productive, resilient, and adaptable. Just as diversity within a portfolio of financial assets reduces risk and uncertainty, so diversity with a portfolio of natural assets increases nature's resilience to shocks, reducing the risks to nature's services. Reduce biodiversity and nature and humanity suffer. Economics. The difficulty lies, again, not in the new ideas, but in escaping old ones. And this is the time to do it. And this is where we have to nurture our imaginations and just keep this creative thinking so we can see these changes that we need to be able to envisage. During this lockdown period, I've also worked very closely with Cambridge Canopy Project, launched by Cambridge City Council to increase the growth of our urban forest. Matthew Ling, who is running the project, says, right now, trees are more important than ever. During the lockdown and through the moments of solitude that it has brought about, trees provide us with so many positive benefits that increase our physical and mental well-being when we need it the most. Views of trees through our windows lift our spirits, reduce anxiety, lift depression, and help us to find focus. They encourage us outside to enjoy their beauty and provide us with shelter and shade, and in so doing, facilitating physical exercise. And of course, they are a vital ally in our efforts to combat climate change. So it is vital that we cherish our existing trees and plant more where we can, including in our gardens. Cherish. Robert McFarlane writes, we find it hard to love what we can't give a name to, and what we do not love, we will not save. Discover the nature of your art. Share the wonder. I designed a series of activities exploring our urban forest in Cambridge. through tree stories, facts, creativity, and exploration. And I created this book. Here's a little glimpse of inside it. So finding ways to connect, to fall in love with your trees if you weren't already, you know. And it was distributed through Cambridge Food Hubs. It's online as well to download. I've also been working with CCI, I mentioned them earlier, Cambridge Curiosity and Imagination, and Full Scope, to find ways to support often isolated residents through invitations to create and connect with nature. So early in lockdown, 5 of us CCI artists started devising creative invitations. I worked with artist Sally Todd all over Zoom to share our passion for the natural world as both a stimulus for the imagination and a restorative space for well-being. We delivered creative care packages in collaboration with Centre 33 and Kite Trust. Boxes of art materials, ooh, that came in a bit, to accompany the invitations and the films that we made. I'm just going to pop back because I didn't want that quite yet. Another quote from Robert Macfarlane. He writes, "Loss is the tune of our age, hard to miss and hard to bear. Creatures, places, and words disappear day after day, year on year. Wonder is needed more than ever." Dear artists. And trees give us wonder too, don't they? They are rooted in our lives, in our language, our culture, our literature, and our art. They hold our stories, traditions, and emotions. They are living museums of disappearing ways of life. Nurturing connection to and pride in our local trees through art and cultural celebration empowers people to care for our future and to help grow our urban forest. Last October, Matt from Cambridge Canopy Project, Ruth from Cambridge Curiosity and Imagination, and myself asked Cambridge City Council to commit to the Tree Charter, developed by the Woodland Trust and launched in 2017. The Tree Charter, just one moment, there's a summary of it. The Tree Charter is a people-powered movement for trees with clear guidance for politicians, organisations, community groups and individuals. And we ask the Council to commit to uphold its 10 principles and values, principles for a society in which people and trees can stand stronger together. Ooh, pinged ahead again. And the City Council made that commitment. To celebrate it, we created a gallery of pop-up forests of imagination. Here are some of the photographs from that, using beautiful hangings created in January last year at Mayfield Primary School and Girton Primary School with CCI artist Caroline Wendling. We wanted to be outside and invite residents to celebrate together initially, but of course, again, then we had to work within the limits of another COVID lockdown. So we decided to create the digital gallery online, inviting residents to curate the forests of imagination across the city, photographing an artscape as fantastical tree or creature alongside their favourite tree with a few words about that connection. That gallery is on the Cambridge Curiosity and Imagination website, which I think also the link is going to be put in the chat. Tree Charter Day marks the beginning of National Tree Week, the UK's largest annual tree celebration. Cambridge Past, Present and Future invited us to hang the whole collection of artscapers, trees and creatures in the main beach avenue at Wandlebury. How beautiful is that? And the connections just keep growing as we continue to talk to more people and start to hatch plans for a Cambridge Festival of Trees. The economic and environmental threats to our future has been shaped and exacerbated by social inequality. This pandemic has highlighted these inequalities of racism and poverty. And it's also the artist's role to respond to this, to bear witness to provoke empathy, humanity, and to carry us. I've been working with Ari Henry, the community officer at Cambridge City Council. Ari, you'll like this if you're there, because here you are. Here's Ari with her tree. And I'm commissioned by Ari. I work with her to deliver equality and diversity events across Cambridge. And of course, we've had to think about how to do this from our sofas. So we've been working digitally to set up so far Cambridge South Asian Heritage, Cambridge Black Heritage, Disability Heritage online, using social media and the Capturing Cambridge website, and pages that are edited and contributed to by representative residents from these communities. So where I was saying about the importance of telling relevant stories, this is a start to creating a digital archive and resource that is truly reflective and relevant. And we're currently starting to plan a Nature Week as one of the Equalities Heritage events too. So, oh, I've spoken a bit faster than I thought, so I was just having a little pause. Right, we are just now starting to prepare for Women's History Month. Here we are 3 years ago, and we were celebrating 100 years since women first got their vote here. And I'm going to use this project as a small example of how we can stimulate change and connections through creating together. So on the day of the centenary, I invited Cambridge women to take a photograph during that 24-hour period, showing themselves wherever they happen to be, and including some words about what they would vote for, and to share their photo online with the hashtag #MyCamVote. So many women took part. Okay, this is just one of 3 huge banners that I made that went over hoardings. All of these were just pinged onto social media in over 24 hours. And I created also a short film using the images and words. And I was then invited to show these at Jesus College, I think it was Jesus College, to talk about the project. Through that, I was asked to represent town at a debate about inequality in Cambridge. That debate inspired the making of the Varsity documentary, A Choice to Look, about the social divide in Cambridge. And the film has been viewed over, the YouTube film has been viewed over 5,000 times. And this film is a catalyst for conversation, change and action across the city. So that really was, you know, an example of the connection and growth that took part. Every person in that, a little root growing out. And I've actually finished what I'm going to say, so sorry, because I think I was a bit swifter than I meant to be, but that's nice, we can all chat. I'm just going to summarize quickly. So in summary, find the ore on your doorstep. Keep nurturing creativity and unleash your imagination. The world can be a better place, and you are beautiful. Okay, I'm going to come out of my screen now, okay? Oh, there.